Welcome back to the IE427 garage, everybody. Today we're going to be working on a Cannonball Drop Box for the Decades Cobra that's out in the main shop right now. And the reason that I'm revisiting our Cannonball Drop Box is that I've never shown you how to put one in while keeping the fuel tank in. It's actually easiest to drop the fuel tank down, but if there's fuel in the tank or whatever, maybe you just don't want to drop the tank and you haven't installed your aluminum in your trunk yet, I'm going to show you how to do that and get our drop box mounted into the car. So it's been pretty busy around the shop here for the last couple of days. We're trying to get the coupe ready to move out of this space in the shop temporarily so that we can get some work done on the Decades Cobra. The owners of that car are coming down here for a couple of days, and we're going to try to do blitz build, get as much stuff done on the car as we can so that we get kind of a jump start on the car so we can see what we may need to order and stuff like that. I've gone through the inventory list and there are quite a few things that, because this was such an early car, early Mk4, some of the Coyote stuff that, we take for granted now, brackets and whatnot that you get with the Coyote kit aren't included with that car. And so we're gonna have to see what we can do about supplementing a lot of the parts that weren't included when the owner ordered this car. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get started on the drop trunk box, and I've actually got one all assembled. So let me come out here in the main shop and I'll show you exactly what I got. All right, so from time to time, I have some boo-boos, some missteps when I make parts, and I don't want to just throw the parts away because they're perfectly good to use, but if I can't find someone that wants to buy a part at a discounted price, I'm going to use it on one of the cars here in the build. And in this instance, everything that I messed up on this drop box is going to be hidden. So what we have here is I inadvertently made the notch in the wrong spot. I must have had the piece flipped over when I measured it, and I measured it and cut it, and then realized that I made a boo-boo. And I tried to sell it to a couple different people, offering them a 20% discount on the parts. They weren't interested, and that's okay. I understand when you're building your car, especially if it's the first car you've built, you think to yourself, well, my God, I don't want something that's not perfect. But there's nothing wrong with this, and we're going to go ahead and use it here. It's all going to get covered up with heat and sound mat and carpet anyway. I did make a notch in the right spot here. I've already pre-assembled the entire box, and I'm going to tell you why that's important. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to drill all the holes. I've used Cleco to hold it together temporarily, and then you're going to have to mark all of the corner braces, both which spot they go in, so you can number them 1 through 4, and which side is up, so that they go back in the exact same spot. Because if you're drilling these things yourself, you may not be a production drill person and you don't get the holes drilled in the exact same spot in all 4 pieces. And so therefore you don't want to have to fight putting the thing together once you get it into place. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to actually take it all apart, and it's going to go in the spot where it's going to reside eventually, one piece at a time, and you're going to actually pop rivet all of the pieces together while it's in the car. And so that's why it's important that you mark every one of the pieces so that they go back in exactly the same spot. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use some adhesive in the corners. You don't have to, because you're going to end up most likely putting heat and sound mat or some type of thermal barrier or sound barrier over the entire surface. It's going to negate any rattling or squeaking. But I've just found that it's a good practice as you're installing it to go ahead and use some adhesive in the corners. We're going to use 100% silicone, which is what we use on the rest of the car when we're putting panels in. But let me stop for a minute. I'm going to get this thing blown apart, and I'm going to show you how I mark everything with the pieces all separate, and then we'll start installing it in the car. All right, so what I've done is I've disassembled the entire box after having pre-assembled it and drilling it and getting it all ready. And you can see I've got all the pieces right here. So I've got the main body of the box. I've got the passenger side of the box that has the notch in it. And it actually has two broken edges to it, so two 90-degree bends on it. The driver's side, which only has a single bend on it and a notch up at the front. And then I've got all these corner braces, and what I've done is I've marked them. So driver's rear, driver's front, passenger rear, and passenger front. And that's going to let me know where each of those corner braces go, and the orientation of the writing that I've done on them will let me know which direction the top is. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to take this box. I'm going to put all the other pieces aside for a second, and I'm going to actually thread this box into that space. I'm going to kind of show you how I do it. All right, I've actually shown this part in another video. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to take the back portion of it, you're going to thread it down in between the cross braces here, and then what you're going to do is you're going to gently bend it so that it'll slide down into that spot. So I can't do that and hold the camera, so let me go ahead and grab one of the tripods and I'll show you. All right, so you're going to just kind of bend it. Now notice I've got a piece of cardboard in there, so I'm not scratching the gas tank up. Once it's in there, check it for fitment and see if you have to clearance any other areas. This all looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and drop it back down on my cardboard, and then I'm going to work on getting all of the corner pieces in. All right, I've got all the corners done, and I've got the box held in place with some vice grip clamps. So it's in where it needs to go, and now I'm going to start going around and drilling all the holes into the frame member. And then what I'm going to do, I've still got the cardboard underneath here. That's going to allow me to drop this thing down after I drill it, clean up all of the metal filings and shavings, and then put a bead of adhesive around the edges where it's going to meet the chassis. In the areas where I can't get pop rivets, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put adhesive in there, and then I'm going to take some smaller vice grip clamps and clamp it tight to the chassis so that when the adhesive dries, it'll have a nice good bond in those areas. So let me grab the camera and I'll show you a close-up of those corner brackets installed. So here's the corner brackets installed. You can see I've got driver's rear on there, and I put it back in the same orientation that it was before. Now, it's not important that the rivets, the pop rivets, all go in from the same side. What you're going to find is when you're installing it like this, you're really subject to how you can get the rivet gun in there. Now, if I was doing this, assembling it on the bench, I'd probably use the battery-powered rivet gun. But since I'm doing it in this spot, I'm just using the trusty old hand riveter right there, and I'm getting in wherever I can get to get the pop rivets in. So you can see this one went in from the outside, but the other two on that side went in from the inside out. Anywhere where I could, I tried to install them from the outside in towards the inner portion of the box, just so that it looks cleaner. But this area back here is going to be covered up anyways. There's a panel that comes in and covers this up. There's a panel that covers this up over here. So the only areas really that you're going to see if you're under the car servicing the car is these over here and the one over there. And I managed to get all of the pop rivets installed from the outside of the box in those two, except for this one here at the bottom, because I just couldn't get in with the pop rivet gun next to the gas tank. But other than that, it's pretty much in where it's going to go. I will get these drilled, get all these holes drilled into the chassis, and then probably bring you back and show you what it looks like done. And then it's funny looking at this, how the frame, the chassis has changed over the years. I've had to adjust my patterns to accommodate all of the different variations of the Mark IV chassis over the years. And it's just, to me, it's just kind of odd that they wouldn't maintain the same jig over all these years. Or if they are, maybe the jig's just, you know, it's showing its age, because obviously the frame members don't get laid out in the same spot all the time, because you can see I have to have enough for this earlier frame for the chassis to clear here, and all the way back to here where you see this opening for the newer chassis, that the bar is farther back. It even goes so far as the cutout for the fuel tank sender. So if I pull the cardboard out from here, you're going to see it's moved a little over the years too. You can still get the thing out of there, but I've made my hole, or I've adjusted my hole over the years to coincide with all of the different variations in the chassis, so that no matter what generation of Mark IV you have, whether it was an early car, a mid car, or now, you know, the latest Mark IV, you'll still be able to use the box, because there's just so much wide variation in the chassis or the jigs where they weld these things up. It's ridiculous. So let me get this all ready to pop rivet to the chassis, and then I'll bring it back probably once it's finished, once I've got the pop rivets all in place. One last thing before I let you go. I use just a piece of whatever over here just to maintain the level of the box as I'm kind of getting it fit and drilled, because it's going to want to sag over in this area. You're actually going to run a row of pop rivets, or a couple rows of pop rivets if you want, on this area right here where your trunk aluminum drops down, so that it maintains the level of the box over in this corner. There's just no chassis members over here to attach to, so we rely on the aluminum of the trunk in order to get it all in place, and then you'll have a row of pop rivets over here on the aluminum as well. All right, next day, everybody. I worked until dinner time yesterday, and then I went in. I never made it back out to the shop. So let me show you what's going on here. We've got all of the box ready to go in for the final time. So I've got clecos holding in the side over here, and I've got clecos holding in the back over here. And you can see the way the spacing is on the holes for the rivets. They're primarily just where I can get the rivet gun in. And again, I'm using the manual rivet gun right over there, because it makes it easier to get into all these little spots. So I'm going to drop this down and pull all the clecos out, drop it down onto the cardboard that I have above the gas tank. And then I'm going to run a bead of silicone around the outside edges. I'm going to get it set up, put it in with some clecos to start, and then I'm just going to go ahead and pop all those rivets in, and then this project should be done for now. I'm going to go ahead and leave this strap over here on this side with a vice grip clamp to hold that side of the box up, just so that it doesn't scratch the top of the fuel tank for now. But eventually, when the aluminum goes in here, it'll all be held in place where it's supposed to. It's surprisingly quiet in the shop right now, but as soon as I say that, something will happen. The box is all done. It's installed. You can see I've installed all the pop rivets along the back, along the side. I've got some vice grip clamps in those places where I couldn't get pop rivets for now, and they're just holding it all together while the adhesive dries. So once that adhesive dries, the clamps will come off, and we'll be all ready to go. The owners of this car are due to come down this coming weekend, and so I'm going to work on getting this car into the workshop and getting the coupe that's over here over into this spot here. And of course the workbench, the truck, will have to go outside for a few minutes while I get everything moved around, and then it'll come back in. I want to leave enough room next to the truck to get up to those boxes with all the parts for the Decades Cobra so that we can get some work done while the customer's here over the weekend. So I think that's going to do it for now. I hope you guys got something out of the install. Now, I've said this in the past, this is not a hard project to take on yourself. If you've got a Mark, 1 through 4, or whether you've got a Mark 5. I've looked at the design of the drop box in the Mark 5. I think we can do better. But until I get a Mark 5 in the shop, I'm not doing anything. I've thought about it, and even if there's someone locally that isn't too far, just the logistics of going back and forth, I don't have the time for that right now. So we'll wait until we get one in the shop, and then we'll see what we can do to make what's already there a little bit better. So if you're enjoying the content here, as always, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.